Yo, it's Guido. Good morning. Welcome back to this episode of World of Tanks, and we've got more Super Hellcat from Rax. Oh, get a little angry. Got a little fender bender on the way into work there. It's all right. It's all right. Raxter's in his Super Hellcat asked me for a little bit more help on that, so I took a look at it, and we're going to go ahead and do a replay analysis for Raxter. He's here on Malinovka and spawned into the south. Comes up to a pretty standard TD spot. And holy macaroni, their entire team is lit by the WZ-131. And it looks like a good portion of them are camping at the cap. That's great intel right off the bat. It'd be nice if the WZ lived, but I don't think he does. He's got a KV-2 that he's working over. Waiting for the reload. Now, the one thing, Raxter, about this particular bush, and there's two mechanical things I've got for you. We'll get to the second in a minute, but the first one is watching out using the bushes here. You can see that you don't see the bush in front of you, so you can actually see the trees across there, which means you don't have that bush necessarily opaque, although it might be to the guys over here. My concern is another light tank getting in that bush, oops, right there, right in front of you, and you getting lit and this thing disintegrating, because other people are going to be aimed in at this spot waiting for somebody to show up, kind of like you're doing right here. So you might want to think about, and it looks like actually now that you're looking left, you were exposed to anybody who might have been close enough. You're not getting lit, but relying on the sixth sense to tell you if you're spotted is no bueno, because it's a 3-second delay, and you can disappear in a Super Hellcat in 3 seconds very easily, or at least get mauled such that you don't have a lot of votes left. As advertised, the WZ-131 goes down. But he I don't know. Did he do a good job? Debate amongst yourselves. He's dead, no good to the rest of the team. They shaved some hit points off of the enemy team, but also happen to lose 2 tanks. One of them including the top tier scout. I don't know. Hard to tell. So Raxter's going to work this. Takes another shot. The only reason I think you didn't get spotted by the T-71 is he had backed away enough from the bush. Or maybe by the time you actually shot, he was below the ridge with his spotting point. We're going to shift over here to another kind of known TD position. This is about the point in the game where I start counting noses. And I look at this deployment, where I saw the lights, the relative directions these guys were moving. The fact that my FL-10 is up top and there's nobody up there. So just look at this for a second, guys. Take a look at this map. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 camping. That's a little more than I like, but there you go. One guy at least got up the hill. 2 heavies back here. I don't know if they were trying to get up the hill or they just stopped. Looks like they stopped. So I'm assessing at this point that we have a very campy, passive enemy team. Things could change. We could get 4 or 5 tanks coming up the hill and run over the FL-10. But right now, it's really looking like we have a team of campers, which is fascinating because it's versus a team of campers. The FL-10, the Chi-Ri, and Raxter being the only people actually maneuvering. Now the T-29, I think, has kind of figured it out and is maybe headed up the hill, potentially, as the FL-10 has not disintegrated. This is what's known as good vision control, at least early on this map. This is about as good as it gets early on this map. You have the hill. They're not pushing across in the south, so they haven't got where the 34-100 is, or anything like that. They're camping. Most of your team is camping, but you at least have some forward guys in yourself, the FL-10 and the Chi-Ri, that are really causing them problems and getting them kind of hemmed into these back corners back here. This forest up here in the northwest can be very dangerous to push. You see the FL-10's being careful about it. You know, you get 3 or 4 tanks in there and a couple guys spotting. It can be just a real bear to go after these guys. Now here's the second mechanical thing I've got for you. Alright, so that was a shot more or less directly at the guy. Shell velocity matters. The closer a tank is, the faster the shell, the less lead fire you need. But this is not a necessarily really fast. Yeah, 853 shell velocity. Really for me, 1,000 meters a second or above is fast. Anything below that is slow. Alright, that's just a real caveman one number to think about. You get used to your own tank that you're playing. You just got to kind of understand that that was going to require, especially with a tank that fast, lead fire, which means you need to be out here. And it's going to depend on how far away you zoom or don't zoom. All right, it's still going to need the same lead fire, but it's going to look slightly different based on how you do it. I tend to zoom in a lot, and I would estimate something like that. You took a shot right here, and is probably going to need a little bit of lead fire. It's tricky with a tank like the Hellcat with a slow turret, because you really got to sweep that turret out in front early. It's hard to track fast-moving tanks with a slow turret, especially as they're closer. The closer they are from left to right or right to left, the higher what's called the line of sight rate, or at least the way I put it in terms of my profession. It's called line of sight rate from left to right or right to left, how fast essentially it's moving relatively to you. So the further away, the faster it is, the slower the shell speed, the more lead, all right, or any combinations of those things. The opposite of those, the less lead. All right. Point is that in a couple cases you take shots right at guys that needed lead fire. Now I don't know what was going on here. This just pulled out into the open right here. Anything that is kind of in this, it's hard to do it, but basically there's the shade of the tree. Basically from really, where's the bushes? About here. From here to here. Anything down in there is going to see you right here coming out into the open. So I don't know if you meant to do that, if you did it on purpose or meant to do it, but I believe you actually get lit doing it. Yeah, there you go. There's that 3 seconds. Think about how long it had been since you'd gone out there. It was about 3 seconds. Guys, 3 seconds is a freaking eternity when you're talking about things like this and being shot at. I promise you. 3 seconds might as well be 3 weeks when you're potentially going to get shot at. It is way longer than you would think. So do not trust that to keep you safe. And why you didn't blow up right there, I don't know. They must have been very busy shooting at maybe the M4 FL or somebody else. The enemy team is pretty bot-like anyway, so you know, maybe they just simply weren't able to put a gun on you. Don't know. I didn't talk about it when he approached here, but he came from this point over here, which was a nice overwatch spot. Came up here as the FL-10 came off the hill, and really there was proven to be nobody around this area, which is absolutely bizarre, especially considering how many tanks are left on the enemy team. Blows my mind, but nobody was. So fantastic. The approach to this bush line is tricky. You want to come up in this low swale area right here, but you do have to be careful because as you highlight over this ridge, guys sitting in these bushes can pretty easily see you. So a lot of times I'll come down low, poke up and back, poke up and back. Are they there? Nope. And then I'll move up into those bushes right there. So they look great, and they are once you push the guys back far enough. But if they're in that tree line over there, sometimes there's somebody right there that's going to see you kind of poke up into the bush and you disappear. And then there's that slow turret trying to get that thing on. You did have some strange ping issues going on. One fire. Ready for it? Second fire coming right up. 2 fires in a row. Got 1 kill out of the 2 fires, but that was fantastic. We're up to 1,736 damage. 554. I didn't mention earlier, but he is carrying binoculars to do a little bit of his own spotting, and he's doing a really nice job actually of using them. Haven't mentioned it yet, but he's going to get into bushes, let them cook off, sit for a second, see what he can see. Now we're going to have a little bit of an issue with the bush thing here as well. This game is not necessarily won, but you're in really good shape. At this point in the game, Rackster, I would start thinking about becoming a little bit more aggressive. All right? One of the great approaches to digging guys out of this camp, this hard camp here along this line, you know, of rocks and bushes and shit where people sit, is this low area, this low marshy area is nice to get dive down into because you can protect yourself and you can poke up. Right now, I don't really recommend it, but kind of pay attention to what's going on and think to yourself when it is you might have wanted to move forward. With 3 artillery and a bunch of tanks, I think you're doing the right thing, at least initially. Here is another mechanical thing, which is, I mentioned it, taking shots when you don't have the bush in front of you opaque when you probably had time. I think you could have backed out of that, made the bush solid, and you wouldn't have got spotted here. But you actually end up getting spotted. Boom. And then we'd stand in. Very dangerous. You take a hit. You're trying to get a shot on the Leo, and you finally back out, and now the Skoda T25 is hitting you. And really, I'm going to say it's just a matter of luck that there weren't 2 or 3 guns looking at you and end you. The AT-8 was seen. For some reason, at first I was wondering why he hadn't shot you. We're going to find out in just a second. Well, I'll just tell everyone he's actually AFK, so that did not help the enemy team in any way at all. But if you noticed that at the time, then good on you, or assumed that based on where he was. I did not. I was worried that AT-8 was going to start machine gunning you down right there where you got spotted. So my recommendation is be a little more stealthy with the bush mechanics right there and make sure that those guys can't get you. Now, we're starting to see the team move into this area here. This is the area I would have been concerned with as I moved forward into the low area right here because they can get side shots on you, but your team is starting to clean up the arty. In fact, there's only a 304 now, and they're starting to lose guns. For me, it's time to get forward because now it's all about getting more spotting out of it. You've got 1,300. Now you're getting good spotting off him because you just see him, so good on you. That's up to 1,500, and this is where I would just right down into that low swell, start lighting these guys up. Also, be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Be a little bit more predictive on where guys might show up, because you saw your team moving through the bushes. I would have been aiming over there and just waiting for them to light guys up to get shots. But it definitely timed at this point to move forward, because it's cleanup on aisle 2, and at this point in the game, I am always looking to get as much of the spotting and assist damage and damage as I can, and just kind of hanging out here isn't really getting her done, right? He's going to be down low. That's map knowledge. I know that's a low spot and I can't really shoot it from here, so I would be going down into that swale and coming up and looking for the Leo and looking for the P43 BIS. You actually find the Leo as he starts making a runner right here. Little hasty shot. I think I would have waited. That's just one of those timing things. You may have said, well, I think he's going to get disintegrated before I get a shot. I do that too, but he wasn't going to get down low too quickly based on how he was falling off. I think he had a few seconds. That's a small thing. And then we find the P43 BIS way over there. We take a shot at him and get a little bit more delicious damage for 2,505 damage, 2,289 assists, and 3 kills. Absolutely fantastic game, man. Well played all the way around. When it's a good game, really all we're talking about are any small mechanical things we can look to improve, or those real small nuanced things where we can turn, you know, a 2,500 damage game into a 2,800 damage game, or maybe a 3,000 damage game, or maybe just a little bit more assist because I got in there closer, got the assist done faster, say on the P43, and was actually able to get closer to the other P43 and get the assist off of him. All right, or sharing the assist because I've actually got the guy lit up right there. And a lot of that is just watching the match develop. You know, sometimes, and I do this too, you get stuck in the soda straw, you're shooting a tank, shooting a tank, shooting a tank. You don't realize kind of what's going on around. Maybe you switch over shooting a tank, then you go, oh crap, I needed to be moving forward. But when we look at a replay analysis, we try to back up to the 40,000 foot version of the game and go, all right, it was a great game. How do we kind of improve this thing? I didn't mention it though. You did go through your APCR early. I don't think there was really anything that required that here until you started shooting at the KV3 potentially, and then maybe the KV2 in the face. Gold usage is completely up to the individual. I just mention it because it probably would have been a bit more of a money maker by shooting the regular AP first. Anyway, there you go. All kind of small things, man. Thanks for sending that in. Really good game. Appreciate it. For everybody else, have a good day, and we will see you.